I signed for them after the Euros, and after my first day's training, I was driving home. I was actually thinking, regretting it. What have I done? Like I walked into a circus.
It's amazing, isn't it?
8:45 on this Friday morning. You're watching Deal or No Deal on OTB AM. Phil Egan, you're very welcome.
Good to be here, yeah.
There's only one place to start this morning, Phil. It says on my sheet, Belgium and Manchester United legend Marouane Fellaini could be on his way back to the Premier League. West Ham boss David Moyes is trying to woo the 32-year-old, according to Sky Sports. The 87-cap Belgian international has 2 years left on his deal with China's Shandong Luneng, but could become a Moyes player for the third time. What impact, Phil, could he have back in England's top flight?
You know what impact he will have on the pitch? That the guy has this unbelievable ability to win everything in the air. He's probably one of the best players for chest control as well. His chest control is unbelievable. But perception in football...
Yeah, can we do like a chest control power rankings here? Who is the second best chest control player in the world?
I don't... There's not many that will top.
And is there something about like his pectoral muscles or something that allows him to be so good at chesting the ball?
It's just the way he leans back, and you know he's quite big, so he's able to do it. But if you're a West Ham fan, right, when they brought in Pellegrini, the feeling was, yeah, this guy's won the Premier League. He's going to get us playing a certain way. Hasn't worked out. So then they bring in David Moyes, and straight away they're thinking, right, we've gone back to 18 months ago when this guy was brought in to keep us in the Premier League. And he did what he was brought in to do. But they're just getting over the news of that David Moyes is in, and they've won their first two games, and they're thinking, okay, well, you know, he'll put a bit of fight back in us. They don't want to see Marouane Fellaini, because basically straight away, West Ham fans have the grand designs of there's the West Ham way, and lumping the ball up to Marouane Fellaini is not the West Ham way.
What is the West Ham way?
The West Ham way is to sign players that were good 4 or 5 years ago and then...
Make them worse.
Like, on their day, they can be very good, but West Ham certainly don't really know what they're doing at the moment. But Fellaini is just going to pour petrol on the fire.
Is he a holding midfielder, or is he a centre forward for West Ham?
Ideally, if it was American football, he'd be brought on for special teams, and when you need that Hail Mary play, you just put him in the box. I just don't think it's a wise decision. That if Moyes has ambitions of staying at West Ham beyond this season, players like Fellaini aren't going to endear him to the West Ham fans, because as soon as anything goes wrong, Fellaini will be the fall guy. Fellaini and Moyes.
Right, former Celtic Moussa Dembele could be on their way to London. Spurs have upped their interest in the attacker following the news that Harry Kane is out until April. Spurs are also linked to Thomas Lemar in Lyon, and Tottenham have agreed a deal worth £28 million for AC Milan and Poland forward Krzysztof Piatek, 24. That's a done deal, according to the Sun's sources. How will Jose manage this Kane crisis, Phil? And will we be speculating whether the team is better without Kane by the end of the month? Kind of sounds familiar to what, 10 months ago?
No, I can remember this time, this time last season, they went on a very good run, got themselves very close to City and Liverpool, and then Harry Kane came back for a game against Burnley. He actually scored, but that was the one where Pochettino had a meltdown at Mike Dean, and their form fell off a cliff. Obviously, Kane got another injury and declared himself fit for the Champions League final, which he clearly wasn't. But I think it's going to be different this time, because one thing we've noticed since Mourinho's come in, they're playing more direct football. Kane's 6'2", that fits into it. Can't play direct football with Son and Lucas Moura the way Mourinho would like to. Piontek's 6 foot. Now I tell you, Jose Mourinho wouldn't mind bringing in Marouane Fellaini. Do you remember the day Jose Mourinho became the Spurs manager? I said he'd try and sign Zlatan. You did. Zlatan has obviously gone back to AC Milan.
And his statues had a hard time.
Absolutely. But I would say if Zlatan was available now, Mourinho would think, yeah, I'll bring him in short term, because he is the big man that I can play up to. So...
Well, I'll tell you who they should sign. Olivier Giroud. Former Arsenal man, becomes a Tottenham hero.
Imagine that.
Looking for a club, doesn't want to lower himself to a bottom half club because he's got a gigantic ego, and I suppose you can do when you're a professional footballer and you're that handsome. But he wants to play for a top club. He wants to get into the France team, let alone the squad for Euro 2020. Spurs would be a perfect fit for everybody.
I don't know, because Spurs like to play quick on the break, and one thing Giroud is not very good at is running. Great at holding the ball up, but he's just so slow. And kind of suits teams when they play at home if they have more possession, but away from home if you're trying to play counter-attack. And that's where Spurs could be good without Harry Kane. They might be a bit better in counter-attacking, but in certain games where they like to go direct or get balls into the box, that's where they're going to miss Kane.
And like, was Zlatan going to bring all this pace?
But he's a bit
faster than...
He's a bit clever and smarter than Giroud as well. And...
like, give me...
I'm trying to think of Giroud.
Give me the big forward who is going to be fast. Like, I mean, like Harry Kane, probably maybe a bit of an exception in that regard. Like,
yeah, I wouldn't even say Harry Kane is explosive.
No, he's not.
He's a powerful runner.
But he's got a lot quicker over the first 5 yards.
But also as well is his play in terms of his creativity has improved a hell of a lot. And I wonder, is that something that he's worked on because he's picking up more injuries, that maybe he's thinking in the long term that eventually I might be playing a more withheld role, and I mightn't be the main man, but I could become a creator, because sometimes his distribution is excellent. I don't know if signing somebody like Piontek is going to be... like, a loan signing makes more sense, because you know if you sign as soon as Harry Kane's back fit, you're gone. You're sitting on the bench, which, by the way, just demotes Troy Parrott down even further.
Well, at the moment, right now, there has been no signing made, well, unless the Sun is right and that he signs today or something like that. Where does Troy Parrott suddenly sit now? Does Jose just continuously use 2 subs and leave Troy Parrott on the bench? Does he get any look in at all?
Yeah, he's done that. He did that obviously last weekend. I remember, if you think back to the Bayern Munich game when we thought this is going to be it now, his Champions League debut, he brought on Wanyama at the end, and it's just a slap to the face of all Irish fans wanting to see Troy Parrott make his Champions League debut. But Piontek was at Genoa, had an unbelievable spell there, got signed by Milan, kept the run going, but Milan have been dire this season, 12th in Serie A. They've changed their manager. So I don't know what kind of confidence levels he has, if he's going to solve their striking issue. But
going to play under Jose Mourinho at low confidence is a match made in heaven.
Yeah, and the only thing is, if he does sign you, he's going to like you. You know, it's not going to be like some of the players that he's gone in, and Ndombele is the one that he's already had an issue with. Obviously, he didn't sign him. He was meant to kind of make them a bit tougher in midfield. He can see a pass as well. But yeah, I don't know. I just, it hasn't been great for Mourinho since he came in. He had a few wins early doors, which, you know, it's all pointing to the fact that Levy didn't give Pochettino money to invest in that squad, and it doesn't look like he's going to give him a truckload of cash in January to Mourinho.
Sticking with Spurs for a moment, the Evening Standard report that Manchester United have accepted that Christian Eriksen would rather go abroad than come to Old Trafford. We'll keep an eye on the interlink here, it says in my script.
Yeah, well, obviously, Christian Eriksen, still a Spurs player, sees plenty of the Premier League, seen enough of United to think, no, I don't want to play for them. Like, Spurs isn't really floating my boat anymore. But
does Antonio Conte love Christian Eriksen?
I'm sure.
Like, he seems to just like have like a list in his room or something of players he admires, and regardless of like time being an actual factor in aging human beings, he seems to just stick with that list forever. Ashley Young, case in point.
And do you know what? He kind of, as I said, when he won the Premier League using Alonso and Moses as wing backs, he kind of has the right to make a call on any player he wants.
That's bigger than any trophy he won.
I just remember the day that
Moses into a Premier League winner.
So they'd lost those 2 games under Conte, the famous ones against Liverpool and Arsenal, and then they played Hull next, and the team sheets, because I remember we were doing commentary of that game and we were trying to work out where Victor Moses was playing, and then a few minutes in, yeah, Victor Moses is a right wing back, but he's a right wing back that's won the Premier League now.
Who is the worst player that was a regular starter in recent years to win the Premier League?
Oof, a regular starter.
Like Wes Morgan? He was pretty good in the Premier League title-winning season, you know.
He was perfect for them, because with Leicester, they just said, we're going to sit on the edge of our box, put a ball into the box, and Morgan and Huth will clear everything. And that's exactly what they did. So that is, yeah, I'd have to come back to you on that
Yeah,
one.
it's a tough one, but we have come back to you on the chest control question. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, another one with top chest control. You're just a fan of top chest controllers.
Yeah.
It's hard to say quickly.
It is, but it's great hold-up play. That's the top two, is it?
Where's Olivier Giroud's chest play at? If you had to, like...
It's nowhere near as good as Fellaini or
bounces off him, really.
Zlatan.
Just needs to work on the pecs a bit more. Gareth Bale's agent, Jonathan Barnett, has told ESPN that his client is going nowhere in this window and has no plans to go next summer either. Madrid have been counter-briefing, and a source... I love that phrase, counter-briefing. And a source told The Telegraph that they still want to offload him, but they realise that given his contract terms, it will be hard to find a buyer. So after struggling at Real Madrid, will Bale ever make an impact at a top club again, or is he eventually off to the likes of the US or China?
I think he's just happy to stay in Madrid, see out his contract, earn loads of money, keep working on that golf game. So when he does give up football, we'll see him on the European tour. You know, he'll try and follow in the footsteps of...
It'll be the web.com.
Who was it? Julian Dix had a crack at it. There was another footballer as well. It's mainly tennis players. Lendl, Kafelnikov. Shevchenko, actually.
Shevchenko.
He's
Steph Curry in the States.
Yeah, so definitely Bale. This has got to be an ambition of Bale, maybe to try and win a pro tournament at Celtic Manor. What a dream that would be. But I just think his wages is always going to be an issue. That to pay such top dollar for a player, you want to be getting an unbelievable player, which on his day, yeah, but he's too injury prone.
Kylian Mbappe has refused to get into details about his contract negotiations. His current deal runs out in 2022 and PSG hope to time down beyond then. He said, "My desire is simply to play football, to concentrate on the season. My club is in a calm and stable situation. This is not the time to talk about this. This is the time to play football. There are many deadlines. I just want to focus." Phil, could he be the face of Liverpool's Nike era, and would putting a player like Mbappe into the Klopp mix work?
No.
To both?
No to both, because I think the second question answers the first part, because as good as Mbappe is, we saw a little clip of him there during the week. PSG are 6-1 up, ball comes into him. Could score a routine goal, but decides, you know what, we're 6-1 up, we're taking the piss here. I'm going to try a Rabona lob, which, by the way, nearly came off, but you can see the utter disdain on one of the opposition players' faces when he just looks going, it's bad enough you're beating a 6-1, but you're trying this.
It's amazing, actually. I can't stress enough how grand and actually excellent a goal would have been had he lobbed the keeper from outside the box. The keeper is on the edge of a 6-yard box, Mbappe's on the edge of the box. All you got to do, and it bounced up lovely for him, and all you got to do is just lob it over the goalkeeper. It's a beautiful chip goal, 7-1, and he tries to Rabona it. It's the most league-on thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Do you know what? He could have even just taken another touch and just drilled it into the bottom of the net.
Yes.
But he didn't do that. And
doesn't have the attitude, Phil.
No, well, see, if he was to sign for Liverpool, and Liverpool fans, I can imagine if they see Mbappe holding a Liverpool jersey, what a statement it makes. But also, Liverpool's success under Klopp is built on hard work. And yeah, there's players there that have nice wage packets, but a lot of them have got renewed contracts, and they've got improved terms, and they've earned those. The likes of Andy Robertson, Mane as well. Like, Mane is a player that's actually coming to the end of his contract, well, not this season, but next season, where they'd be a little bit worried about that. But you throw Mbappe in with a huge wage packet, and you think, this guy doesn't work as hard as us.
Yeah.
You know, this phrase we hear from Liverpool all the time, it means more. And, you know, opposition clubs laugh at it. But one thing you know with Liverpool is that if they're beaten, it's not from a lack of effort. And sometimes, I think back to Mbappe in that second leg against Manchester United, where you could see what was happening. PSG should have put the tie to bed, didn't. That was one of the worst games I've ever seen Mbappe play. I thought he was really poor. And you'd be looking for him to step up in a game like that, where PSG were the heavy favourites, but they didn't do it. So I don't think it's going to happen. I'd be very surprised if it did.
Before we wrap up, deal or no deal this morning, what better way to preview a fixture between West Ham United and Sheffield United than talking about the great transfer that was Tevez and Mascherano going to West Ham United, which eventually resulted in Sheffield United getting relegated. It did not come as a result of Sheffield United going after Tevez and Mascherano, as falsely reported by Tommy Rooney on OTB AM this morning. So here was the correct timeline of events in the Tevez Sheffield United saga, in inverted commas. West Ham stunned the world of football in August 31st, 2006. Deadline day signings of Tevez and Mascherano. We all remember this. It feels like just yesterday. There were contracts of the duo, of course, previously held by Kia Drapshin.
It's the first we'd ever heard of Kia Drapshin.
He just became a household name all of a
Well,
sudden.
we were there kind of going, how the hell do you say that name?
We unfortunately have to put a pause on this. Basically, long story short, is that Sheffield United got relegated as a result of West Ham signing the duo, and West Ham are very, very guilty as a result of that. Sheffield United have never forgiven them, so they go toe-to-toe in the Premier League for the first time
tonight
since
is the
that
night.
season.
Tonight is the night, Owen. Didsy's going to get that Premier League goal.
The Oracle has spoken.
He's been put in front of the Sky cameras before the game, and he's been talking about how loyal the Sheffield United fans are, and he reckons if one goal comes, like London buses, a few more will arrive.
You don't get predictions like that anywhere else except for here on Deal or No Deal.
I signed for them after the Euros, and after my first day's training, I was driving home. I was actually thinking, regretting it. What have I done? Like I walked into a circus.
It's amazing, isn't it?